Welcome to our I'm Telling Christmas show. We're talking I'm Telling. Hit it. It was 1987. The Masters of the Universe movie was in theaters. Nothing was going to stop Starship, and Lori Fazzo hosted a show where siblings dished about each other. I'm your host, Jerry D, with another episode of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, and fads. If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, we got it covered. Now, joining me is a Totally Rad Christmas All-Star and Ratty winner. From episodes on McDonald's, Psych, A Very Special Christmas, Holiday Shopping and Wish Books, Alf's Special Christmas, and more, it's Vinnie Brezinsky. Vinnie, what's happening?
Jerry, that Alf one, I think, it's tainted my reputation.
Okay, well, then let's
you bring it up every time.
In Cincinnati.
I think you and I killed it that day for what we had to work with.
Yes.
But even you just chuckled about it, and I'm just like, "Oh, Alf!"
I was trying to read it, and I couldn't get through it. I was like, "Oh, that was."
Alf could have ruined my podcasting guest appearances, but you were nice enough to put me back. In my defense, it was your topic, not mine.
That's true. That's true. Well, then we'll end it with. You'll remember him from episodes on WKRP in Cincinnati. It's Vinnie Brezinsky.
Oh.
There we go.
A little show plug there.
That's right. Yeah. Oh man, how you been? It's been a while.
Good. Surviving this cold weather down here in Texas.
Yeah.
It might not be cold for everyone else, but as you see, I have my knit hat on.
Right.
If my knit hat on it's cold.
Like, well, that's like I'm wearing pajama pants. I never wear pajama pants. Like
it's not even November here yet, and it's just like, yeah.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. And then it's going to be in the 70s, like in a couple of days.
And we also had 10 inches of rain in 2 days. Like it's
we sure did.
Texas weather. Like I try to explain to people, I'm like, I work with people overseas, and they're just like, is Texas as bad as I really see it on the TV? I'm like, no, guys, they just make this stuff up. Yes, it's Tornado Alley. We're in the mid. We're literally on the verge of Tornado Alley. We get Pretty much. Craziest weather here.
Yeah, it's the weirdest. It'll be 30 degrees, and then the next day it's like 80. So
or like it's 100 degrees. Next day you get pineapples coming out of the sky as ice hitting my roof.
Yep.
And then like next day it's like, oh, here's 100-degree weather. Have fun.
Yeah, but I love it. I can't lie. But it does, I do want to start off with, before we jump into our topic here, because we're talking about a really cool game show. But before we jump off, I want to do hit me with the toaster. So this is where I'm going to ask you some questions.
I like this segment.
And I want you to hit me with the first answers you can come up with. So here we go. All right. Let's say Lori Fazzo is Scrooge. Recast the Ghosts of Christmas with J.D. Roth, Mark Summers, and Wesley Ure, who is from Finders Keepers, if you didn't remember that one.
I don't remember him, but J.D. Roth, wow.
Funhouse,
well,
yeah.
He was Funhouse, yeah.
Funhouse, Mark Summers from Double Dare, and Wesley Ure from Finders Keepers.
I'm going to have to go Mark Summers for Ghost of Christmas Future, right?
Okay.
I always thought Mark Summers was he did a lot of sloppy stuff, but he was also, didn't know him, he was also obsessive compulsive.
Right.
So I think he would be the good one for the future. JD Roth, I would go with President. I thought he was a good host. He did a lot of stuff. I felt like he did more than just Fun Host.
Yeah, he did.
Fun House. So he did that. So I'd go there. And since I don't know the other guy, we're just going to put him first.
Okay.
I'm sure I'd probably know him if I Googled him, but I just don't remember him. But Mark Summers and JD Roth, Nickelodeon legends.
For real.
But yeah, they were great.
I think if you saw Finders Keepers, you'd remember the show more than you remembered the host. Is kind of what I
don't remember it at all.
There was 2 Christmas episodes of that one, by the way, as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to take a look at this. I don't want to do it now while we're doing this, but yeah.
All right. But yeah, good answers. Okay. Which game show would you rather go on? Video Power or Nick Arcade?
Oh, we were just talking about Nick Arcade. Um, I don't remember Video Power. Like, I'm really disappointed in my lack of 80s, 90s kids video.
Video Power. So the first season was more of like
I do remember this.
they
I,
emphasized the magazine more, and then second and third seasons is when you would run and you had the Velcro on you, and you
I
would
do remember this. I'm going Video Power.
heck yeah.
I feel like the Nick Game Show one was good. I just didn't like the point to get to the video games. Like it was clunky. I get where they were going with it, but it was. I watched after you did after you did the episode on it, or you posted it on one of the webs social media. I can't remember what it was. I went and watched it, and I was just like, man, this is dry. But I still remember I wanted to be on that. But no, this one here, yes, I do remember
Hmm.
the Video Power. I would be Video Power,
Right
most for
on.
sure.
Same, big same. And finally, which action movie would you rather be stuck in? Lethal Weapon or Die Hard?
You know you got my two favorites here.
I know,
Like
that's
you,
why
you do this to me.
I did this on
Dang you,
purpose. Yeah.
Jerry. It's such a hard one. Which one I want to be stuck in? Um,
And you can choose which role you'd rather have.
I would think I would just. I love John McClane and I love Die Hard, but every time I go back and watch Lethal Weapon, I just thought Mel Gibson. I feel like that's my favorite from him. Like I felt
Yeah.
like the original Lethal Weapon, where Danny Glover called him a lethal weapon, and just him running barefoot, chasing after people with a machine gun.
Hmm.
I would like to. I would rather probably be in that movie with him. Be me being Danny Glover. I'd be
Okay.
want to do this side and do that. And look, John McClane is my boy. I have many Christmas ornaments of John McClane. I have one of him coming out of the air duct.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Um,
That's,
but it's
yeah.
just sometimes it's just not Christmas until you get the shot at the title, Mr. John.
That's true. That's true. Well, that's just a way for our listeners to get to know you a little bit better. So thank you for that. Now,
That was a tough one. Like you've
I
hit me with some good ones this year, but that one was
I picked that one on purpose. Yeah, yeah, that was completely.
oof.
Yeah, there's clickbait, and then there's but anyway, yeah. So today we're talking. I'm telling.
I'm telling the exciting new game show where brothers and sisters tell it like it is. There's no telling what they're going to say or how much they're going to win. All we know for sure is they're going to tell it all today on... And here's the host of I'm Telling, Lori Fazzo.
Thank you. Thank you, and welcome to our I'm Telling Christmas show.
Now, this was a game show that I remember, but what's your experience with it? Like, what do you remember about I'm Telling?
So I'm going to tell you some personal stuff here. My mom, rest in peace, she would always, if you remember this game show, right? It was siblings, right? It's kind of like
Hmm.
the way Wikipedia says it, it's the Newlywed Game with kids.
Right.
I was a lonely kid, right? So I saw this game show and I was like, oh, I still want to go on this. And my mom was always just like, hey, look, you need to have a sibling, right? And I was like, what about my cousin Carla? We'll go with Carla. And she's like, no, you can't go. And I'm like, so mom, why didn't you have more kids after me? She's like, you were the absolute worst. She was just like, you had an obsession with Eye of the Tiger from Survivor. And at my aunt's wedding, all I kept going was, and I tore my aunt's wedding dress. She's like, at that point, we made sure that we never had kids ever again. You were the last.
Speaking of Eye of the Tiger, I love that song so much that my aunt used to have an ice cream shop. I went and put in so many quarters, and we listened to it at least 7 times in a row in the ice cream shop.
She was like, I couldn't
I
imagine a
was
4-year-old kid ruining a wedding like you did. But she was like, you were so obsessed with Eye of the Tiger, and you would just do that little verse there. And but no, seriously, it wasn't a terrible game show back then.
right.
You got a chance to win cool prizes. Um, and I thought like if I had a sibling or if I want to try to go with my cousin and put it off with as a relative, it would go. downfall is it only lasts one season. So I don't know if I just think it ran its course. It was fun. I don't know if I can sit through and watch again. Maybe back in the day I did. I couldn't watch 24 episodes of it.
Right.
Like it probably ran its course, but at the time I was just like, this is super cool. I can win all these prizes. Awesome. And then you would go through and like Double Dare and all those that were out there too. It's not, think this is the top of my list, but it was like, this is different. I can see myself getting it. Like, this is the one that I wanted to go to. Like, if I was going to go, look, no way I can do the things on Double Dare. Like, same thing with Funhouse. I was I was a little overweight as a kid. There was no way I was doing these physical challenges. It wasn't happening. So this one here, you sit down, you answer questions, doable, right? So it was most realistic, but when I saw this, I'm like, Jerry, we have to do this. Like, I do remember this. There's not, and guys, if you go out on YouTube, there is not a good quality video of any of these.
All super grainy.
If you go, it's super grainy, it's bad. But most of you people will like probably go back and be like, I do remember this.
Yeah, same. This is one I remember watching as well. I wanted to be on it. They did have a couple of episodes with like brothers or sisters, but most of the time it was like a brother and a sister.
Correct.
And so I don't have any sisters. I just have two brothers. So I remember like thinking there's no way I can go on this show. And then of course they would do those special episodes and I start to feel better about it. But this was one of those that just like the other game shows you talked about, I wanted to go on so bad. I thought, oh, I don't know. Why haven't they picked me yet? How come I haven't gotten a call? I mean, I didn't realize how it all worked at the time, but I was just expecting them to give us a call so that I could be on the show. And they never did. So, but yeah, same thing. I wanted to be on it. I was kind of in your boat. I wasn't overweight, but I was real skinny and scrawny and very weak. I wasn't a strong little kid. So same thing. I was a little bit nervous about going on some of those other game shows, but this one I knew I could do because I thought I would be able to answer the questions about my brother. So,
and this one, and like, in like these video power and stuff, look, we all played video games back in the day, and it's like, you don't have to be physically, I mean, I was physically active. Let's not get me wrong. I was basketball, basketball, all that kind of stuff. But like video games or questions like this, you found your way. And I'm like, this was the one that ideally I could be like, I can do this. I can see myself doing it. And, but it's, thanks, Mom. I guess I had no one to blame but myself, or if I'm going to blame someone, it's going to be Survivor, right? For making such a great song, but it's, yeah.
I mean, the song is pretty rad, so I totally get it. Yeah. Now, the show itself, it aired on NBC. Like you said, it only had 26 episodes, ran for one season from September 12th, 1987 through March 5th, 1988.
The good news about that is there's a Christmas episode.
That's exactly right. Usually when they start in September, they're kind of work their way around. And so in December, there's usually a Christmas episode. And luckily enough, we're going to be talking about one in particular. In fact, there's only one. So that's what we'll be talking about. But it was a production. It was a joint production by Saban Productions and Deke Enterprises. Of course, two powerhouses of kids programming back in the 80s and early 90s. And it's just one of those where like everything kind of worked. They got the right host, I think, for the job. He, compared to some of the other game show hosts, he was very, I don't know, I felt like he handled the children a little bit better than some of the others.
He did, and he did have a good voice, right? So I feel like on a lot of these ones, JD Roth and Mark Summers, like you were saying, they were more their personalities, right? JD Roth moved around a lot, and Mark Summers got into it. But like this guy had like a distinct voice, and we'll get over it in a minute. But he becomes a more distinct voice later on in your kiddom. But when even if I'm not watching it, if I was playing it in the background because I was doing listening to some when I was working. Distinct voice, like it's an iconic voice. He's a great game show host. And even I think it's this one here. Yeah. This one here, like at the final, I don't even know what they call it, at the end game, Like
Mhm.
he was really good with the little girl. Like
The
he
pick a
was just
prize
like,
arcade. Yeah.
yeah, he was
Mhm.
like, hey, honey, and I don't think he probably didn't say honey. He said, you got to stay here. Like
Mhm.
he was really good. Like there was some other games I was watching, and I think it was that Nick Arcade.
Mhm.
That guy wasn't really good with the
No.
kids.
No, and that's something I noticed, like, when they were hesitating to come up with an answer, right away he'd well, not right away, but he'd say something like, "Hey, it's okay, you can do this, we just
Yeah.
I know you can pick an answer. I know it's in you." I mean, he was very encouraging
Yep.
and which I really liked, and I thought he handled that aspect well. But as far as gameplay, you're a million percent right, and I know you were reading Wikipedia, but you're right. It's basically the Newlywed Game, where one half of the team, so the brother and the sister, one half of the team is all they use terrible 80s special effects where they're,
Yeah.
quote unquote teleported away.
Okay, round one focuses on the girls telling all about their brothers. So guys, time to teleport you to the ISO zone. I wonder if they went to the North Pole. Well, we'll find out.
It's of course just a jump cut, but they're removed. They're asked the other half that remains are asked a question. Then the gone sibling is brought back, and they have to give their answer. And if they match, they get some points. And if they don't match, they don't get any points. And then
Well, I don't think I've ever seen a Newlywed Game until I was like maybe 13 or 14, and it was on like reruns, right? So I don't
right,
think I've ever seen it. So to me, that was new, and probably the same to you. You were probably just
right,
like, "Oh,
right.
this is cool," but if our parents were probably watching it, they're just like, "Oh, this is a ripoff." Um,
I'm sure my parents, like, I'm a million percent sure my parents did not watch this.
yeah, I remember. I mean, it was on, and when my mom was in the living room and stuff like that, and then this I'll be like, "Mom, can I go on?" And she was just like, "Why this show is so terrible." Um, but it's once again, she probably knew it was a ripoff of another show that they just
Right,
made it for a kid.
right, right. Which is smart. Newlywed Game. It's about, of course, newlyweds trying to learn about each other, and in this case, it's siblings, and so siblings should know each other as well. But yeah, basically, there's three teams. They alternate which team goes first, and we'll get into this particular episode in just a bit. At the end, the team with the most points gets to do what's called the Pick a Prize Arcade, and so it's like this big ramp with just prizes all over. Each kid picks a certain amount of objects that they would like,
I think it's five. That
five
they
or
get
six, yeah, that
5 or 6, and there's only 10 objects. So the chance that you get this right is the final one. And I think if you guys get 12 options, but if you get 10 right, you get all of them, right? So you go through and you get this, but some of the prizes at that time were
Mhm.
really cool. Let's use your term, rad. They were really rad.
For
There
this
was
show, yeah.
there was a robot. Like I don't know if you remember it. It
The
wasn't the
robots were
big one.
huge,
It
yeah.
wasn't like the big one that was in Rocky 4, but it was like a little one that did stuff.
It was a small one, like, from the Muppets.
Yep. And then you get like there was a basketball hoop, there was a computer, and at the time
Mhm.
that was like I only knew like one or two people that had a computer, and you were
Right.
just like, "Oh, I can win this Commodore. Yeah, let's
Heck yeah, I'm all in.
these prizes were." Yeah, but also when you're going through them, some of the prizes you were just like, no kid was ever gonna pick these,
Right.
right? Like the one for the guys was like a globe. Like if I'm gonna go through between a
That's
robot,
hard
a
pass.
basketball hoop, um, a cordless phone at the time, which was like game changing if you remember when it first came out, all
Yes.
these things, or a globe or a normal calculator, which one am I taking here? So like your
Mm,
odds get down. I mean, look, when I was 12 or 13, maybe the calculator, but if I'm 8 or 9, there's no way.
no.
I'm not taking the even though it was I'm looking back on it, I'm like, that's like a $300-$400 globe. That's a really nice globe.
Yeah.
I mean, I barely had one that was like $20, and the geographical stuff where you're like, oh, mountains. Remember that when you go
Oh,
over the
yeah, yeah.
globe, and you'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is where mountains are. But no, it like really great prizes, and I think that was another lure. Like that was what got me. It was like, I can win a computer. I can win a robot. Yeah,
Right.
this is awesome. Look, they would give you like certain prizes in Double Dare, or you win cash. And I'm like 8. I'm like, I don't want cash. I want a computer. Like I want to play my GI Joe video game that my cousin has. Let's do this.
Which that GI Joe game was hard.
It was hard, but it was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah. So I just did. In fact, we did that episode in September on Funhouse, and the prizes there were pretty terrible. And so these were like a step up, I felt, from that. And I don't know if it's because they didn't spend as much on the sets. Maybe they had more money for prizes, or
The set looked like it was going to fall apart. Let's be honest.
it
Like
was
you're
like
going there, the
cardboard.
ramps were
Yeah,
barely put together well. It was probably just some old carpeting they had from like a set that they threw away, and they
totally.
just
Yeah,
threw it together. But it was only like what 30 feet. Like it was this one ramp that went up and down and around.
right. And it
It
was
was probably
all
the cheapest set you. That set must have cost probably the least of any kids game show ever. Like it was generic, but it got done what it needed to accomplish.
right, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely no Legends of the Hidden Temple or Supermarket Sweep, even, which is an
Oh,
actual supermarket, which
yeah.
I love. I
But
love
no,
that
but like even
Yeah.
Funhouse, all those ones that used to get back in the day, those kids game shows, they were elaborate and they had to keep kids together. And maybe this is why it
Engaged,
didn't
right?
work because this was so generic. But man, I was just like prizes and yeah, let's do this with siblings and
Hmm.
most realistic one of all of them that a kid that's have barely any skills can do.
Which I was thankful for. Let's dive into this particular episode. So, this was from December of 1987. We have three teams. We have brother and sister Nicole and Sean. That's team one. Team two is Molly and Jeremy, and team three was Melissa and Cliffy.
Say hello to Nicole and Sean Woolard. And please welcome Molly and Jeremy Martin. And say hello to Melissa and Cliffy McGee.
Cliffy is an awesome name. Like, let's be honest with you. I know Cliffy was also from Cheers, right?
Right.
But when I'm going through and I remember I brought this one back up, I'm like, oh, Cliffy's a great name. And he looked like a Cliffy. He was like he looked like he was played football. Like he was only 12 or 13, but he was built, he looked like a Cliffy.
He totally did. And so, of course, if their answers match, they would win fabulous prizes. So the brothers are the ones quote unquote teleported to he called it the ISO zone. It's
ISO zone.
The isolation zone. So ISO zone. So they're gone right away. And of course, it's like these weird, like pastel color, like big transporter beams, except they're like solid. There's no they're not, it's crazy.
Yeah. But it had the great noise. It's like
They did classic 80s sound effects. I loved it.
It was probably just one button they hit on a synthesizer.
I'm sure that's all it was. Like, look,
again,
Casio,
super cheap.
Casio, right? Yeah,
super cheap.
So the first question, which was worth 25 points, was:
If Santa asked you if your brother has been a good boy or a bad boy this year, what would you tell him?
Team one says bad, team two says good, team three says bad also. And this is one that they all got right. So I do love how when the brothers were brought back and he's answering it, he says something like, well, I have been talking back to my parents a lot lately, like just saying it out loud, like no big deal. And so he says bad, and of course they match. And so all the teams get this one right. So everybody at this point is still tied. So it's anyone's game. So I did like that. I like when games are close. I don't like when it's a blowout.
I also like, and you'll go into this in a second, but the options to pick, right? So there's a better chance of them getting it correct, where I think it's the third question where it gets harder. It's like a free form text, or not. I say text. I'm a systems guy, but free form answer, right? So it could be anything. And it's just like, how hard that would be for a 7, 8, 9-year-old kid to come up with a right answer like that.
Well, especially when we get to this third question, their memory is tested as well. Like, I can't even remember what I got I
can't even remember what my wife got me last year.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't remember what I got my kids last year, which is terrible, but I know it's something they wanted. But
yeah, it was just, it's a tough one. And like most of these kids are just like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It was bad. So the second question was worth 50 points was:
thinking about how much the two of you help your mom around the house, which of you would make a better Santa's helper?
So like that's the basis right there. That's like our baseline. Team two goes first this time, and so she answered that she would be a better helper. Team three said she would, and team one as well. They all said that the girl would be better. When the boys came back out, Team 2 said that he would, and this is where when the classic sibling arguing comes into play. When she says something like, "But you never help mom," and he says, "Well, you don't either," and I help more than you do. It's just I like the arguing.
Yeah, and going through back in the day, and you look at that, it's just mostly like to see, like I said, I keep referring back to my cousin because the only person I can do.
Right.
But I can see her and I going back and forth where I'll be like, no, I'm gonna be the better helper. And they're just like, she'd be like, Vinny, you've never done addition in your life. And I'll be like, that's probably true. Because most of the time they come back and after they say something, they're like, oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, well, which made me like immediately now as an adult just figure out how to play the game. Just answer what you think the other one would answer. Don't answer what you would answer.
Or I would think that when we go in, if it ever goes back, is it me or you? Vinny, just say it's you. Let's get on the same page here.
Yeah, exactly. You pre-plan. Yeah.
Yeah. But once again, this game show was only around for one season.
Exactly.
Right? So if you got a second time around, like you could probably just be like, okay, we've seen this enough. And I'm guessing no one's seen this game show before it really hit the air. Right. That would be my guess. They probably filmed them all at one point and they're like, we're going to break them out. So no one probably seen it. So you could like next season, it's probably why they didn't have a season 2. You could be like, just say me. Just say you the whole time. Or just be like, you, me, you. Just like break it up and we can just we can do it.
Yeah.
That would mean, but my thing, I was just like, let's plan this. Even back in the day, I was
the system.
young Vinny at 10 years old was scamming the system to get a free computer.
Quiz show rules. So the third question, worth 75 points, was,
what did your brother get you for Christmas last year?
I would not have done well at all.
No,
because I don't remember. I'm always having to get what did we get, and then they'd have to tell me. So,
I mean, I think if you were doing it in today's day and age, you could just say gift card. Right. You could just say gift card, but gift cards weren't back then. At least I don't remember getting any when I was young.
No,
but like now you could just say gift card and then be like, yeah, you're right, it's gift card.
Right. So, girl number 3, she says a red robe, and her brother said doll, and he says, "Mommy got you the robe." And then he corrects himself. I did like that. He's mom got you the robe.
Yeah.
And Lori's like, oh, it's okay. You could say mommy here. It's fine. That just made me laugh. And then girl 1 says plastic necklace. He says dress. She says, no, you got me a plastic necklace. And he says, I'm not that cheap.
well, the best was, again, the host was kind of drier, but she goes plastic necklace. And he was like, oh, those are very big. Those are very popular. And I'm thinking to myself,
were they?
What's a plastic? What do you even consider a plastic necklace? I don't like that. There you can like that had no shot.
I think he's just trying to read.
But no, but like that, the boy had no shot of getting it. Like,
oh, totally, yeah.
Not at all. What's a plastic necklace? I don't know. I still don't even know what a plastic necklace is.
I just love how he says, "I'm not that cheap." Then the girl, team 2, says a coloring book, and then her brother says necklace. So nobody got any points on that one. All right, so that was the end of round 1. And so at the end, we had 25 points for team 1, 75 points for team 2, and 75 points for team 3. So right now, team 2 and 3 are tied. And now the girls go into the ISO zone. And this is where we get the questions are, I guess, up a notch. So this first question worth 50 points was,
does your sister neatly unwrap her Christmas presents, or does she rip them apart like a madwoman?
Which makes me wonder, how do you open your presents?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Back then, it was rip. Right?
For sure.
It was rip. I feel, and look, getting a little older, when I lived with my grandmother for a while, she'd be like, don't tear it. Make sure you pull it. We can reuse it. And so that phase. And then when I got older, I don't even know if I get gifts anymore. Like, so it's
right.
We do this, but I was a ripper. Like, I was a big ripper. I was just like,
yeah. Same.
Especially when I knew it was like G.I. Joe figure. I'm like, which one is it? You knew what it was.
Yeah.
Unless they tried to fool you and put it in like a clothing box, you knew what it was. You're just like, who is it? Oh, it's Zartan. Yeah, let's get it.
Man. That Zartan figure was cool.
Yeah, because it changed colors and
color,
stuff like
which
that.
I still can't figure out why his skin would do that in the cartoon. They never quite explain it, but
No.
still super cool. So team one, the boy says that his sister rips, and so did team 2 and 3. But while team 2 and 3 got it right, they both ripped it. Team 1 got it wrong because she says that she does it neatly, and she has a little response that I may or may not be saying later on.
Oh no. I forgot about that segment. I need to start I need to start
So
thinking of what it's gonna be.
put the captions on real quick. Yeah. So the second question is,
What one thing does your sister want most for Christmas this year?
team 2, the boy says My Little Pony stable. Team 3 says a stereo. Team 1 says clothes, and they're the only ones that get it right. So the My Little Pony stable is not what she wants. She wants actually a radio. The boy that says stereo, she actually wants a kitten. And team 1 said clothes, like a whole new wardrobe. So they got the point. So now they're catching up at this point.
But see, it's so weird because like those, it's almost impossible to get those.
Right.
Like if you watch any of the shows, and I know we talked about this when you guys all watch and love the WKRP episode, but in that episode, it's
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Like you would not be able to get away today with saying My Little Pony. You would not be able to say brand names on any of these things.
Right.
So
You'd have to cut it for sure.
Yep, dude, have to go forth. But like, there's no way that. Again, I remember back in the day, you could have said G.I. Joe, right? There could have been some Nintendo game. You could have been like, oh, I would like a Nintendo game and be generic. But when someone goes in and goes My Little Pony stable, yeah, there's no chance that your brother's going to get this. Like it's.
Yeah. Well, it's like I was watching Chopped, and I remember they can't say Oreos; they have to say like chocolate sandwich cookies. It's the same thing. So in that case, they would have to just say something like just a pony or a miniature horse stable or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. But he's just like, yeah, My Little Pony stable. That's what she wants. So the third question, worth 150 points. So this is like the make or break moment here.
Cliffy, who usually gets better Christmas presents, you or your sister?
All the boys said that they get the better presents. And this let's see, team 3 also said that he did. So he at this point was team 3 was winning. Team 1 said that he did, and team 2 said that she did, and so they lost. And so in the end, team 3 is the one that actually wins.
That means Melissa and Cliffy, you're our winners! All right. You get a $1,000 savings bond, and you get to go to our Pick-a-Prize arcade.
Cliffy, yeah. Good old Cliffy. And so they get to go to the Pick-a-Prize arcade. Now, introducing this segment here is Santa, or I should say Lori Fazzo dressed as Santa.
Back at our fabulous Pick-a-Prize arcade with Melissa and Cliffy, but I seem to be caught in the isolation zone. What the heck am I doing here? Hey, Santa, if you're on stage, can you help me out? Sure, Lori, I'll help you out. All right, you guys did great. You guys did great. Why don't you walk down and take a look at those prizes? They can all be yours. This is how it works. We've got 10 prizes for a boy and 10 prizes for girls. Before the show, each of you picked the 6 you thought your brother or sister would like best. Now, both of you are going to run through the arcade and pick 6 prizes each. You'll keep every prize you match. And if you match a total of 10 prizes, you'll win all 20. Let's see if Santa can walk down here. Yeah.
They also get like $1,000 savings bond. So I thought that was kind of cool too.
Yeah, it's just, Wikipedia helping me out again. They do one way or another. They get $1,000 savings bond, which it's funny. I used to hate getting them from my grandmother.
Right.
But when I finally cashed them in at one point, like 20, 30 years later, you're just like, I'm kind of glad I had this. I mean, I was disappointed at the time when she got me socks, underwear, and a savings bond for Christmas. But hey, it's helping me now. Thanks, Granny B.
Yep. I do recall having using some of those when we needed diapers. So it's like,
ours
we
was
got
a wedding,
them.
so I was like, let's cash these in. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, totally. But same thing. I was like, do we really need these? Where's Where's my transformer? Yeah, it's terrible. But the other two teams, Team 1 and Team 2, they didn't leave with nothing. They won a Huffy bike, which I thought was pretty cool.
Back in the day, those were the jam.
Heck yeah.
Are they still? I don't know. I don't follow bikes. Are Huffy still big? But
Don't know.
Huffy and like was it BMX were the two big ones? Like the BMX was like,
Right,
hey,
like
a
Mongoose.
Yeah,
Mongoose.
Mongoose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Huffy was my jam. Like it was that's what I rode.
And yeah, that's what I rode too. That's what I had. And then they also got an I'm Telling Home version. Oh, goodness. Yeah, it's crazy. So Santa introduces the arcade. They have to choose 6 items out of 10. Each one there's 10 for, quote unquote boys and 10 for quote unquote girls, and they have to choose 6 of them. If they match 10, so if each one just matches 10 total, then they're able to get all 20 prizes. And so Cliffy runs through it. He gets 5 out of the 6 correct. And Melissa runs through it and she gets 5 out of the 6 correct. And so that's total of 10. So they get all the prizes on the stage and they have a pretty Merry Christmas there, I think.
Yeah, it's I felt like when I watched it and I watched it again and it didn't really matter, but I felt like she missed on 2, but they still made the noise. She first one that she did, they're like wow, and it kicked
Right.
it, and I felt I heard another buzzer, but it's a Christmas episode. They're not going home without these kids getting
Right.
without these kids getting these. So I feel like she did miss it.
Oh, I gotta rewatch that. I didn't catch that, no, but you're right. I think it, like you said, it's a Christmas episode. I think they would have done something at least, especially if they're giving out just savings bonds.
Yeah. So they were going to go away with something. I don't know if they went away, but again, I know we're reiterating, but at the time, that little walk was the coolest thing.
Right.
Like, I feel like there was another game show back in the day that did something similar to it.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the one. But there was no way I'm picking the globe or the calculator. Like, so if you're knocking those
the basketball
off,
hoop and rim for sure.
If you're knocking those 2 off, you have 10, you're down to 8, right? And you get to pick 6 or 5, whatever it was. So there's like a 2 thing error that I'll go through. I don't remember what all the gifts were, but
it was a boogie board was one of them.
Yeah, see, that would be one I don't know if I'd pick. This pale skin doesn't do well in the sun. So me being out there, but my cousin would know that. If we were there, they'd be like, look, you don't go out. But they would have known, hey, look, give me the computer, give me the robot, give me the hoop. I think the phone was for the guys. Like, and for some of you that are younger, when the cordless phone came out, like the wireless phone,
it was a whole nother world.
It was a game changer. Like it was, you don't understand. Like that would have probably been the first one I would have went to. I'd have been like, well, because I think computer was the girl. I'm not really sure. I think computer was a girl, but that phone was there. Bam, give me that phone. Like I'm in. Like these prizes at the time were primo, and it was this. I thought it was one of the more well played out prize packs that you can get.
Yeah, yeah. And I agree, especially having just done that Funhouse episode and seeing some of their prizes. It was like this teeny tiny, like 2-octave Casio keyboard. It's terrible. Later on, when the next year when they did their Christmas episode, it was like a nice 4 or 5-octave keyboard. But no, a 2-octave keyboard, like that's a big no thanks from me. And then you see this, and it's like, wow, that's a computer. That's cool. Like they spent some money wisely. I would have rather done that and gotten gotten
for the money they saved. They saved on the set. They probably could afford it.
Right. It's true. It's totally
like
true.
It was it probably was the same set from the Newlywed Game. Like
it could have been actually.
Let's be honest. It's probably the same.
It could have been. So the prizes were furnished by Southland, the Southland Corporation, Huffy Bicycle Corp, and Pressman Toy Corporation. Who Pressman is the one that did that I'm Telling board game as well. So yeah, but it kind of makes me want to get an I'm Telling board game.
We got to see if we can find it.
I wonder if they have them on eBay.
We might need to do a follow-up episode, and maybe we can get a bunch of the guys from the podcast. We can sit down and we can do this.
Let's see.
We could probably say maybe you and I could be a group. Maybe the guys from Tis the Podcast could be one.
Oh, that'd be fun.
We
Yeah.
could see, how kind of like the Merry Melee they had. Do you still host that? I know you hosted it one year.
I hosted it one year. That episode never aired
Oh, okay.
because one of the judges' audios just completely dropped out.
So bad.
So, yeah, like I told Todd, just give it to me. I'll just edit in some Charlie Brown sound effects
Wah, wah,
whenever
wah.
every time he's supposed to talk, and we'll make it work. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
But those were fun. Those were always fun.
But
Maybe we can find the I'm Telling board game and have someone
so I
do
found
this.
it. I found it on eBay. It's from 1987. I'm telling, sealed. It's 29.71.
That's not a bad price.
I know. I'm putting it on my watch list. So
Yeah.
I might change my mind and pick it up. So if you get an I'm telling board game for Christmas, you'll know why. It's funny.
So, we saved this to last, and I wanted to bring this up, and I'm sure you're going to bring this up. But
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
so after going years later, we probably never seen this, and I'm wondering all these years back in the time if all these people that were on these TV shows, these kids game shows, were actors, right? Did you ever know anyone that was been on any of these, like a Fun House or Double Dare or?
I never have, but when I did the Funhouse episode, I think it was Mike Westfall mentioned that he did know, or was it Mike? It might not have been Mike. It might have been Tommy Coombs. But one of my guests actually did know a kid
Okay.
that was on one of them. So
Because the reason I bring it up is, and we talked about this pre-show, but they did do a celebrity version, right? Where you had like Shannon Doherty, you had the funny one about Jerry and I were talking this before.
Vonnie.
The ones for he wasn't on the celebrity. He was on another one we'll get to in a second. But the celebrity one, it was Shannon Doherty. It was a girl from another thing. And then it was the Astons. It was Sean and Mackenzie, right?
Right.
But they were like a Mackenzie Aston because he was doing Facts of Life, right? So it's the same network. And they're like,
Right.
and his brother Sean. Sean already did the
Sean
Goonies.
had done the Goonies at this point. Yeah.
Okay, Sean is way more popular than Mackenzie ever was, even when he was on Facts of Life. But I get it. Hey, look, we're promoting NBC shows. So like one had Alf, had Benji. Next one had Benji Gregory on it. Still going back to Alf. But so
okay.
but he was
Just
on it.
let it
and
out. It's all right.
There was another guy. There was another kid on it from one of the shows that we brought up with Wilford Brimley, whatever that one was.
Oh, Our House, I think.
Our House, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's one called Our House with Wilford Brimley and Shannon Doherty, because we're probably thinking, where does Shannon Doherty come from? I mean,
Right.
Granted, she was in Heathers at the time, but I'm guessing Heathers wasn't TV promotable.
I doubt it. Yeah.
At that time, but there was a couple episodes where there was celebrities. Like, so Paul Walker
later celebrities. Yeah.
So Paul Walker was on there with his sister, and Paul Walker is so young in this. And maybe they were just trying to get into acting at the time. And then again, there was a Twins episode.
Right.
And then the one Twins episode, they had the Rabisis, right? So It was Giovanni and what was it, Marissa Ribisi?
I don't remember.
She was in Dazed and Confused. I'm sure Matthew McConaughey still would have hit on her. Right? So it's like,
all right.
But she had that red poofy hair. She didn't have. She had a little bit of it in the episode, but they had a bunch of. And like, if I'm going through the IMDb here, there's a bunch of people that actually had profiles. Now, maybe these people could have made it later in life, but I would say a good chunk of them, and these weren't the celebrity ones where they were on there. But the Paul Walker one, rest in peace,
Mm-hmm.
he's great in it, right? He says the answer and he goes in and he's like, oh, I could see that. Like they're like, who's the better looking one? And he's like, he's trying not to be the thing, and he's like, yeah, it's definitely me. Like it's Paul Walker to a T.
Chad Allen. Yeah.
So Chad Allen was in that show with Shannon Doherty. So they were probably just promoting those. But
right.
I'm just wondering if most of these people, because I've never known anyone to go on Double Dare, any of those shows. So I just wondered if they weren't the top actors, but maybe they were people trying to make it that had something, because you just can't go on there and be a lame-o, right? You just can't give a one-word answer and be like, right. I tear. Well, you have to get some type of argument. We need you to go back and forth. We can't get you to do that.
It's all staged, like Jerry Springer.
I don't want to say it's staged, but I think they needed kids that can give
a little bit
more feedback, right? So that's why I'm going back. Maybe my childhood was tainted, Jerry. Maybe these were all actors, and my hopes and dreams were never going to happen.
We're so jaded in our older age.
But I'm looking
possible. Like I don't know, but
going back through this, I knew Paul Walker was on it, right? I do remember I remember watching the Paul episode. But at the time, he wasn't a big deal, but I remember it being like 2 or 3 years later when Zach Morris came around. He looked like Zach Morris did in, Good Morning, Miss Bliss. Like they looked 1-1, and I was like, hey, that looks like the kid from I'm Telling. Like,
which, sorry to interrupt, but as soon as you said Zach Morris, it just reminded me. Did you get that Zach Morris ornament from Hallmark?
I'm gonna wait until afterwards, because a lot of times after Christmas. Actually, no, I do have the Zach Morris one. Because what happens is, so a lot of times when I buy my Hallmark ornaments, this is going to sound terrible, but when I go in person, and by the way, I spend way too much, and I still blame you. I go there in person now, and I'm like, okay, I toss them in the cart. But what I do is I get the ones that I know they're going to sell out.
Oh, right.
So when I do, and afterward, the day at Christmas, you go online or the day after, and they just mark them down like 75% off. And I got Zach Morris in that one last year.
Okay.
So I wanted to get like Urkel, but I feel like Urkel's going to be in the same boat. Like Urkel is, as much as Zach Morris was popular when we are, I don't know if many people are going to buy Urkel. So I feel like if I go after, he's $22 now. When I go in Christmas, he's going to be like 6 or 5. I'm going to be like, give me this, give me this, give me this. But I do have Zach Morris, but I am planning on getting going back. But I also got the Han Solo Carbonite one.
Oh yeah, the one
I don't even know how it stands up on my tree. Like it's so heavy. Like it's so big.
I don't understand it either. Like it's the long section of the movie. Like it's
3 minutes. It's 3 minutes long.
Who's gonna stand there and listen to it for just 3 minutes? All they needed was like the end. It's super cool.
It is super.
I want it.
Cool.
It's a little.
It's sold out. Budget, that's why I wanted to buy it online that morning, and it was sold out. So I went to. Now there's one. I'm so happy there's one here in Rockball with me. But I used to go to this one place called Saxy. It's like 25 miles away.
Oh yeah,
it was the closest one. But I went there, and there was only 2 left, and I bought them, and I'm giving the one to my friends. To my friend, I bought it for my friend. She's going to give it to her husband for Christmas. But like some of these ones just sell out so quickly. But it's So, but I knew Paul Walker, like not at the time, but I was like, oh, this kid's pretty cool. And then but I didn't realize Giovanni Ribisi and his sister, but he calls himself Vonnie.
Vonnie.
I don't even know how you get that. Like Giovanni, it's Vanni, but he calls himself Vonni. Like hey, to one's own, I guess. But
I don't know, man. All I know is that when I heard his name, I was like, "What? That's not right." Like, say the whole name. That's what's right. Just because that's how we know him now.
But it's the other thing that we didn't go talk about. I didn't want to ruin it, but the host was actually Raphael in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. So I have to go. I think Secret of the Ooze is on HBO Max or whatever it's called now. So I'm gonna have to go watch it to see if I can get his voice.
I just watched the first one with my kids the other day, and they were all in.
Did it age well, Jerry? Like
I actually thought it did. The first one did pretty good. And there's a couple of parts where you're just like, okay, it's the 90s, but
they don't have Vanilla Ice in that one, so it's
that's right. Let's see.
Go Ninja, go. Yeah.
Yep.
But no, yeah, that's awesome. Like I wouldn't even tell people I used to be a game show host. I was Raphael in Ninja Turtles 2. Like
I totally would say that all the time.
That would be my go-to move. He was in a couple other things, but I'm seriously I have to go back and watch this now that I was like, I want to hear this guy's voice.
Yeah. And I don't remember being able to pick him out either. Because it was who was it in the first one? I don't remember. I just remember it was like a real kind of heavy Brooklyn Bronx.
I don't think there was any really famous people that did the Turtles. Like,
In the
there
first
could've-
one, yeah,
Was it?
there were. What's his name? Brian Tochi was Leonardo. They had Corey Feldman was Donatello.
I do remember that Corey Feldman. You're right.
Robbie Rist was Michelangelo.
I don't know who Robbie Wrist is, so that's maybe
Okay, so do you remember Kid Video, that old cartoon?
no.
Okay, he was also Cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then Kevin Clash was Splinter. So they did have some pretty good and Kevin Clash, of course, as most famous as Elmo.
I was gonna say he's Elmo, right?
Right, right. So they did have quite a few well, maybe not heavy hitters, but they did have quite a few. Yeah, I'll commit of quite a few heavy hitters on the cast. But
But no, that's still cool. Like it's cool for me, or maybe me and you, because we grew up with those movies.
mhm,
But now I just have to go watch it. But I think he had a distinctive voice. Like it's hard to explain. You guys got to watch it. I know it's cheesy, but he just has a distinctive voice, and I thought he was really good in this. And not because we're on this. Look, we've ripped people before, but I think he's really. I thought he was really good at what he did.
I do
He was
too.
really good with the kids, and I thought I'm surprised he didn't do more, but maybe he just didn't want to. And but look, once you hit your peak with Raphael,
Yeah,
I
where
don't
do you go
blame
from
him.
there? Yeah,
Yeah,
there's nowhere to lose.
unless you're being to be Optimus Prime. I mean,
Ooh, yeah, that would be a step
but
up.
that
That's
but that
true.
guy's voice has been the same for forever. So
But it's
you ain't
also
get,
like,
you're not getting that.
how do you out Optimus Peter Cullen? You know,
Yeah, I was
like
gonna say Peter Cullen's been there since day one. That ain't happening. So
exactly. But it does make me wonder. What would you say is your happiest memory or moment with I'm telling?
happiest moment. I don't know. I just keep going back to the prizes. I remember sitting there as a kid and be like, man, this would be the best game show to be on. I, you know, getting a computer, doing that. Those weren't prizes you got anywhere. And I just remember sitting there. I'm sure if I go through every episode, I'll be like, I remember this. I feel like I watched every single
Mhm.
episode of these and I waited for it. And I
Right.
didn't do that for many things back then. Like I waited around, I watched this, but yeah, this was one that I did want to be on. And I'm not even afraid to admit it. I did.
No, I'm the same way. That's mine too. I remember actually wanting to go on this because I thought I actually had a shot. Bottom line, I was like, yeah, I could do that. I know my brother David. We got this. Danny was too little, so I would have had to go with David. And I was like, yeah, we can do this all day long. I got this, but never got my chance, unfortunately. But it does bring us to our next section, which is Gag Me with the Spoon. So this is where we do our best impression of our least favorite part of the episode. There was a few moments for me that it's like, okay, I know what I'm picking right here. So I'll let you go first as a guest, just kind of set it up.
So I think I know where you're going with this other one. So I'm going to go with a different one that I had.
Okay.
But they teased Santa Claus a couple times, right?
They
So
do,
he was just
yes.
like, I heard there's a rumor that Santa Claus might be coming here. Is he around yet? So he did it first segment, he did it the second segment, and even back in the day, I remember watching this. I'm like, I bet you the host is going to be Santa Claus, and he was like,
He totally was.
it was like I get it, it's a kids game show, but when he's so back and watched that, and he's like, I heard there's a rumor that Santa Claus is going to be here. Is he here yet? I don't know. And that's how he was. That's how he said. He's like, is he here yet? I don't know. And then it was just like, look, this wasn't a great show, but that didn't age well. Or I
No.
don't even think it aged at all. I remember watching it and I was like, this is lame.
That was good. I went with the girl Nicole, and so she got it wrong. Her brother said that she rips him up, and she said she does it neatly. And she says, "Sean, Mom is always there. Hurry up, hurry up!" And Jenny says, "I'll rip him up for you." It's just like typical teenage inflections or preteen maybe inflections. It was just yeah. But so for me, that was just I was like, okay, I could do without that.
I do remember that, and that's where I thought you were going. Because
Yeah.
when you said that you were like, I have a part. I'm like, all right, I won't steal Jerry's thunder. I'll think of
Yeah,
something.
I do appreciate that.
It took me a second. I'm like, what else can I get to? And I'm like, oh, the Santa Claus thing was cheesy.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I'm like, the little light bulb came on, and I was like, I know where I'm going.
I gotcha. But G.I. Joe taught us that knowing is half the battle. What do you think the other half is?
as cool as you think you are, you're not Raphael from Ninja Turtles 2.
I love that. It's
I mean,
true story, man.
I've
True
done some
story.
cool things in my life, but I will never be in the secret of the ooze.
You'll never be dancing to ninja rap.
Yeah. Go ninja, go.
Heck yeah.
I mean, the only thing that would probably be cool is if maybe I was in Bobby Brown's video with Ghostbusters too.
Oh, that's such a good one.
But I'm not Bill Murray or any of those, so it's not going to happen. So
Right.
we'll go. But yeah, Raphael, good for him.
Well, that's better than that's. I mean, I can't compete with that. But I thought if no one's half the battle, the other half is just telling family secrets on national television. So
some of these episodes, they go out there and they're pretty hard. I feel like maybe some of them were made up, but like there wasn't as much arguing in this one as there was. I wonder if they're like, I wonder if they're like, oh, it's a Christmas episode, let's keep it down. But some of them, like they've called them, they were like, you're an idiot. Like they're pretty much just like slandering the other on there. But this one was kind of tame.
That's standard sibling stuff, right? I feel like that's just standard. But yeah, this is a fun show and a fun episode, and I'm glad you brought it back to my attention because I had forgotten about it till you brought it up.
There are certain things I just go through. I'm like, I'm gonna ping Jerry. Has he done like you've done so many episodes, and Jerry he just got nominated for this top podcast. Congratulations, Jerry. It's maybe a little dated when this happens, but you have like 200 some episodes. So I'm going through. I'm like, did he do this one? I'm like, I'm just gonna ping the man directly. Let's go to the source.
That's right. Just
did you do this one, Jer? Oh, you did? Cool. Just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah.
But we do need to catch up on our Psych episodes.
We do. We totally.
If people don't remember, Jerry and I are big Psych people. If you've ever seen the show Psych, they make more 80s references than any other TV show. Heck, they even have Kurt Smith on there all the time. Love Kurt. Tears for Fears. My wife and I walked out. Everyone wants to rule the world.
Kurt Smith sings with Kurt Smith.
Yeah,
duets.
So it's a great show, but we got to get those in. Every time I watch the reruns, I catch something new that I didn't catch the first time. Always.
Yes, so many times, and because we're laughing when sometimes you miss what they say, and I've done that too, where all of a sudden it's like, I don't remember that, and so then you rewind it and listen again, and sure enough, yeah, it's some other obscure reference or just another little quip that Sean will throw out there.
And I know it's a 90s TV show, but they do a Twin Peaks episode. And there is so many hidden Twin Peaks things in there. Every time I watch it, there is something new in there. Like Ray Weiss comes in, and I love Ray Weiss. And I caught 3 more jokes from him this time around that I'm like, how did I miss that the first 30 times I watched this?
If you're asking about the hair.
Yeah. It's not what it normally looks like.
Yeah. So good. Any final thoughts on I'm Telling or anything else?
No, I'll do it, and I'm going to sound like a repeat offender here because I know a couple days ago we recorded the turkey drop, but Christmas season's coming. Support your local businesses. I don't own one, but I know a lot of people. Jerry does a smaller business here in Grapevine. We know all this. Small Business Saturday. I don't know when this comes out, but they make the world go around, right? Let's keep them in business, keep those mom and pops. So go support your local businesses if you can. Yeah,
always great advice for sure. Vinnie, it's been fun having you. Thank you again.
Oh, I love this. I get to talk about my wife. We're about the same age, but she every time I talk about this stuff, she's like, I don't care. And I love her to death. She loves me to death. But I can come on here.
I feel your pain.
Yeah. She's coming home from a trip here. She did want to be on. She was away too for when we did WKRP, but she wanted to be on it. She's like, oh, I love that one. But I was like, I'm telling. She's like, I never heard of it. Just go have fun.
It's okay. I can't even really make a whole lot of references because my wife, she was born at the very end of '84. So she doesn't remember a lot of things. And so I'll say something. She's just like, what? And it's like, oh, you're missing the best
yeah,
joke.
I throw out movie quotes and my wife just looks at me. I'm just
same.
I'm like, Jerry will get them. I'll use my quotes when I'm a guest on Totally Rad Christmas podcast.
That's right.
Yeah, people didn't
Man.
see the point, but
No,
it's another psych
they
joke.
don't need to see the point. That's
All
okay.
right.
Anyway, so thanks again. And I'll end it with I heard a rumor that Santa Claus might show up today. So check us out on our social media pages, which you can find at linktree.com/totallyradchristmas. And if you're feeling like Melissa and Cliffy winning fabulous prizes, leave us a review on iTunes. It helps us reach more people and spread some rad holiday cheer. Now, don't forget to check out our merch shop on tpublic.com and our super dope website, totallyradchristmas.com. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year to everyone here and out there. Later, dudes.
You take home every single prize on the stage. Come on, let's walk up and take a look at him, and Dean will tell you how you did.
Cliffy and Melissa, on top of the $1,000 savings bond, you've also won all 20 of the fabulous prizes on stage. You've got the World Book Encyclopedia, you've got the robots, a new home computer, and the Watchman. Happy holidays!